feels like deja vu. Cause I've been western before all of these stars in California who think.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, how are you, Mike? So good to talk to you.
Nice. So thank you for your time.
Oh, no, please. We're so excited to be talking to people in Brazil. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I know why. So finally you're coming. So thanks God.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
only
you
taken
have
10 years.
yeah, you have no idea what how long we are waiting for that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm so excited, and
So
I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that the world is going to heal in time, and that will be all good for next year.
nice. So first of all, I'd like to say that for me it's a big pleasure talking to you.
Well,
Since
thank you.
since I really am a fan. Actually, I'd like even to show you what I have here.
Oh
Can
my
you believe
gosh, and
it?
in
Yeah,
the archive. Wow, that's amazing. Not a lot of
yeah.
people have
I bought
those,
this.
so that's really cool.
I bought this a few years ago when I was traveling. I was in Bangkok. I know that you
Mhm.
have a lot of fans in Asia as well.
Yes.
So I
Oh my
got
gosh,
mine.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I don't even have one of those, by the way.
So I have mine.
Awesome.
So Grayson, we're going to speak a little bit about your next album, about your
Yes,
inspirations. I have a few questions sent from fans as well.
of
Um,
course.
really nice and interesting questions. So, how life is going over these unbelievable times that we are living, and so what are you
Yeah,
doing? How you're dealing with your anxiety and everything.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think like everybody, across the world during this, quarantine and kind of during the pandemic season, I've had my good days and my bad days. Last year I played 108 shows throughout the year supporting portraits. And so coming into this year, we had a pretty extensive touring schedule too. And to go from a life that was so fast paced and so chaotic to now sort of be, I'm in Oklahoma right now where I've been quarantining where I'm from. And so to be here for now 4 months, it's been a bit surreal, but I will say it's given me a lot of time to focus on sort of my music, focus on this next record that I'm finishing up right now, and just trying to collectively, be as productive as I can as an artist, and make sure that this album is telling a story, and that it's going to be up there with portraits, because I gotta give the fans something better on this next one, because we did a good job on the last album.
Yeah, you did. Really did.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, are you also writing new things or just finishing the album?
I am. So, when quarantine started, I feel like we were sort of 90% there,
Mhm.
being done with the album. I was working with my executive producer, Teddy Geiger, um, when we were writing and sort of trying to tell this next story throughout last year. And now I'm still sort of finishing up that record. We also, I can't talk about it too much, but we've sort of changed our release strategy this year. So I'm going to be able to actually give the fans a lot more music than I was originally anticipating. So we're going to kind of segment the album out in kind of different chunks. And so I'm still sort of writing within the theme of this album, but I think within the next month or two, once I sort of close it out, I think I will then take a break and see what's next on my mind, and what I want the next body of work to sound like.
Nice, nice. So you mentioned Teddy Geiger. I believe that the relation between you two it's like super powerful. And
Yeah.
how do you put your feelings into your music working with her?
Yeah. Well, the best thing about Teddy and I in our relationship is, first off, she's the best producer in the world. I've never worked with anybody as talented as she is, and as, sort of, she's very intentional in everything that she does. She always has an idea and always has a vision. And so, you kind of just have to follow that in the studio. But the best thing between, her and me is that we spent a lot of time kind of talking about what we felt was missing in pop music right now, and sort of what, as just listeners and fans, like, what are the things that we really love. And she shares the sentiment to me too, where I'm just sort of a concept album person. I love a record that really tells a story, that has a thesis statement that feels very, authentic and kind of feels true. And so during the writing process of this album, Teddy has been so great, because she sat down and she said, okay, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? What's happening? And through those conversations, she's given me the confidence as a writer to really feel like I can wear my heart on my sleeve. Because with Portraits, I was signed to an indie at the time, and I was working with a dear friend of mine on the production of the album. And so when I came in with Teddy, I think I was a little bit nervous, because she is such a big deal, and I had just signed to a major too, and I was just like, oh shit, I hope I'm ready for this, And immediately through those conversations, I realized, okay, no, Teddy she wants to help support me and tell my story. And that's what we've done on this record. And I'm very, very excited to share it with the world.
Yeah, we are really excited too. So as you can not say so much about the album, but maybe you can say something about the lyrics.
Yeah.
What are the messages are you trying to pass in this new album?
Yeah. Well, Portraits was, in every way, it was a heartbreak record. It was a album about, sort of love and the fall from love and sort of the aftermath of that. I had just gotten out of a very long relationship, and I was writing about that pretty prolifically. And this next album, I think, is very, it's more introspective. It's more about the feelings that I had in the hotel room after show. And I've been describing it to the fans as it feels like a look in the mirror and kind of a splash of cold water to the face. I talk about a lot of things. I talk about a lot of my shortcomings. I talk a lot about sort of my demons that, I'm either have already beaten or am trying to beat at the time. And I think it is more. Portraits was very personal, but this one feels just a little bit more so, because I think it is so introspective. So there's going to be a lot of surprises for the fans, and there's going to be some hard conversations too that I'm going to have about, sort of some of the inspiration behind some of these songs. But I feel confident and ready, and I'm interested to see how people respond to it, and I hope that they can relate to the messages as well.
Yeah, great. So Honeysuckle, your latest single, which is really great as well.
Thank you.
You describe it as is a song that talks about the personality, how your personality changes over the seasons.
Yes.
What's that?
Yeah, well, this was an example too of, I felt that this lyric and this idea was kind of just a little too silly to pursue. I was like, I can't write a song about how I just fucking hate the winter and want to always live in the summer. But then,
Summer there. So
what was that?
You're in the summer right now.
Yes.
So now
I'm embracing that persona, but I wanted to just write about sort of my seasonal depression and kind of how I feel so much more alive in the heat. I feel a bit more reckless, a bit more carefree. And I just kind of went for it. And I think it's when we didn't have any intention of putting it out as a single, but as, quarantine started and the season was changing, I said, I just think people need to hear this, and I think it will make them smile. And I've been really happy with the response thus far.
Nice. So how's the feeling to saying goodbye to Portraits?
It was, I remember our last show of the tour. This was in January. We ended the tour in Chicago, and I just remember feeling, it wasn't a sadness, but it was such a, and it just felt like a triumphant moment. Portraits was really sort of my redemption album for my career, for everything. It was kind of my last bet to say, okay, if this doesn't work, then I wasn't cut out for this. I'm just always going to be that paparazzi kid, and that's fine. That's okay. But I really wanted to give it a shot. And playing that last sold out show in Chicago, it just really felt like, okay, like I pulled this off. I did it. And it was Portraits was a learning lesson for me, and something that I stick to right now, because the thing that saved my career and the thing that got me back to where I am right now is an album that not only that I enjoyed listening to, but that I wrote from my heart. It was so honest and it was so authentic. And so now moving forward with my career, I'm staying true to those principles. I'm not doing things that I don't want to do. I'm not even like, even this interview, for example, you know, I checked off on this. I said, yeah, let's talk to them. But there's a lot of things that come through where I say, no, I don't want to do this. And that's something that I didn't do in the early parts of my career. And so I'm proactively taking steps to make sure that things feel true to me, because that's what's gotten me the second chapter now. And truly, that's what this whole new album has been. It's just me writing things that feel authentic, and then when I'm hearing it back, if I like it, then I say, okay, fuck everybody else, let's go with it. Come on, let's release it, let's put it out.
Yeah. So when you mentioned Paparazzi, so 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
a decade, can you believe?
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? No, I truly can't. I feel like such an old man at this point.
So I remember
Yeah.
watching you and Alan like 10 years ago. It was
Mm-hmm.
completely crazy, 10 years.
Yeah.
And how was to grow up with this pressure? So you mentioned that you had some kind of issues with the music career, then you stopped a little bit for a time. So how was the time?
I mean, my adolescence was very, very difficult. It was very trying. And you know, people just don't realize they look online, they see the artists that they really love, and but there's just so much that happens behind the scenes. You know, I was even talking to a friend last night, and we were talking about a particular artist that she just sort of has a bad reputation around town. You know, a lot of people, I haven't heard a lot of nice things about her, but we were talking, and what I said to my friend is, I said, it's so unfair when you hear these things about, oh, you know, she wasn't really nice this day. But at the end of the day, you don't know what she's gone through that day. You don't know what's happening with her manager, where her money's at, what she's feeling is about the music. So there's just a whole nother side to the artist that I think is not seen and not really thought about, you know, from a general sense. And my adolescence was very difficult. It was, you know, a lot of people telling me that they were going to be with me for the end of my career, and then they just left. It was a lot of people making promises that they never, you know, that they never really fulfilled. And it was just me having to learn how to grow as not only an individual, but as an artist. And there are so many times when I look back at those 10 years where it really could have gone off the rails, and it probably should have. But I had my family, I had, you know, sort of the support of my friends. Oklahoma was such a godsend because I was able to come back here and really get away from the industry. And, you know, I just kept my head down, and I kept on, you know, kind of piling through, trying to be a better writer, trying to be a better artist. And all of those years and all of those hardships, I think, really led me to this point right now. And that's what I remind myself, you know, currently, is that if I ever get sort of sad or think back towards the past, it's like, no, I'm stronger because of all of that. And, you know, maybe Portraits wasn't supposed to be written in 2015. It was supposed to be written in 2019. And that's what we did.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because you look like very down to earth person. So, and that's why we are so connected to your music and to your lyrics, and that's really amazing. So talking about inspirations, as you inspire so many people, so who inspires you and at the moment?
Yeah. Oh, so much for this album. I'm a huge photography fan, and so for this album, there's an American photographer, William Eggleston, who I've just been looking at his work constantly. I've been very, very obsessed with it. And so, you know, he's been a huge inspiration musically right now. You know, it really depends. I listen to so much music. You know, even this morning I was listening to the new Haim album, but I was also going back and forth between Arca's new album as well. So I would think for, you know, for trophies, I was really kind of just focused on, I don't know, I was listening to everything. I was listening to a lot of old country music like Tanya Tucker and Johnny Cash. And I was continuing to listen to Brandi Carlile, even though there's no country influence on the album. And then I was, oh God, how can I answer this question, Mike? This is so bad. Who inspires me? Okay, let's say William Eggleston, Brandi Carlile, And I would say, I mean, I always say this, but Justin Vernon of Bon Iver, he will forever be such a huge inspiration to me. And then Gaga fucking puts out the best dance album of the fucking, you know, universe. And then now I feel like I want to get into the studio and dance my ass off. So it changes.
So Born This Way or Chromatica?
Both. You can't pick favorites, but since it's current, Chromatica, you know.
Yeah. So how coming out can be described as a turning point to you? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this weekend we celebrate the Pride, and we are celebrating Pride Month, and you have like so many fans that are struggling now at the moment at their homes. So how can you describe as a turning point for you?
Yeah, well, I was very patient with my coming out process. You know, I came out to my friends and family when I was 16. So this was years before I came out publicly. And at the time, I remember feeling as if there was a lot of, you know, sort of people online, and, you know, there were people who were doing it really right. And then there were people who I thought were doing it really wrong, based on the way that they were coming out. And everything felt a little kind of exploitative, meaning that people were trying to use their coming out as a way to, you know, promote something or to sell records. And I was very against that. And I just took my time with it. And, you know, when it felt right, and I went for it. And what I say to my fans all the time is, I think that there is a pressure right now, that there's a societal pressure, which is, okay, you got to come out immediately. You got to do it publicly. It's all these things, right? And there is something to that. And there is something so nice about, you know, that public expression, and it's when it's genuine and when it's good. But I remind my fans that it's an individualistic journey. You know, you do not have to, you know, adhere to every mold that society gives you. You know, you have to be thinking about yourself, what you feel most comfortable with, what is good for your safety. You know, I meet fans all the time that have very abusive relationships with their family, that are very scared about coming out. And I always tell them, be safe, be safe, be safe, be safe. And I think you have to do it authentically. And so what I try to do as an artist, and, you know, as an openly gay person, is I want to create a space for my fans and my supporters, whether it be at the show or whether it be online, where they feel the most comfortable, the most at ease, the most protected. And that's my job. And so I try to do that for them. But I think the point is, every story is individualistic, and be patient, and be self-aware, and walk into the world with your head held high. That would be my biggest advice.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. You talk about difficulties when we are trying to coming out. I had mine. I must say that was not easy. I had such a problem with my family. It was really horrible moment to me, and so.
Well, I will say this too. So I had a boyfriend of a long time who's from Brazil. He was Brazilian.
Lucky.
And speaking directly to the Brazilian fans, and, you know, to the Brazilian queer community, you know, because of the country's, you know, religious history, I know it's difficult. And so I really like to emphasize that message further. I think really make sure your safety is one thing that you're considering before you decide to do anything. You know, make sure that if you're going to get kicked out of your house, that you have somewhere to go, and that you have a friend to call, and you know, someone to lean on, because it's heavy and it's very, very hard. Yeah. And I also, my last thing too, and then I'll get off my soapbox, but to anyone in the queer community in Brazil that does have faith, and that is a Christian, and that, you know, does feel that in their heart, do not let anybody tell you that you cannot be gay and not still walk in that path, because they are full of bullshit. You can still be a Christian if you are gay. You can still follow that doctrine and follow that practice in a nice and authentic way. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's 2020. That's my message.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So I have the first question, as we are talking about inspiration and those feelings. The question is from Laís Diniz. She wants to know, why playing the piano? Why not another instruments? And
Well, I studied the piano when I was a kid, so I was actually on track to be like a classical chamber player.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a classical guy on piano. And then I tried playing guitar one time. It really hurt my fingers and I didn't like it. So I don't know. I feel so connected to the piano, and it's just my baby. Maybe one day I'll still play the guitar. Maybe I'll play the drums one day. But right now, I stick to what I know.
Nice. So another question is from Joey Monteiro. She wants to know, as you've been shooting some fashion photos and fashion editorials, how do you make your fashion choices? Because you're always very good looking.
Yeah. Not always, Michael. Thank you. I'm fortunate enough. I do have a team that helps me, and so my stylist, Michaela McClure, who's from Oklahoma, one of my best friends for a long time now. She really challenged me to kind of to just be more experimental within my fashion. But I think what we do as well is you'll never see me in anything that we've not thought about and not, talked about and had a conversation of, okay, does it align with the music? Does it make sense with where we're going? And so I think style, like everything, it has to be intentional. Don't just wear something because it's cool. Wear something because it's aligning with where you are in your life and with your creativity. And so we just tried all of the fashion. We try to make sure it's very intentional and very purpose driven. And, we get a lot of offers from designers and things that we turn down because it's not right. And it has nothing to do with the designer and the clothes. It's just, it maybe doesn't make sense for me right now. So before I wear anything, I try to think about how it relates back to my sort of ultimate creative narrative.
So, and we absolutely love when you were wearing the hats that you have behind you.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. So next year, finally coming to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Are you really ready for that?
I am. And so the Brazilian, sort of fan community is an interesting one because I've never been to the country, right? It's been 10 years. I've never been there, but I have felt so connected to the Brazilian fans because they've always been there online. We've always been able to chat and, I've been able to see things. There's a few different fan clubs. And so I'm just so ready to introduce myself and to really say hello and to, connect with these fans. And I'm over the moon about coming there next year. And to experience the culture. I want to go around town. I want to hang out. I want to see. I've heard so many things about the Brazilian gays, and so I got to experience that. And so I'm very excited to come and be Brazilian for a week and to just really meet everybody.
Yeah, that's nice. So the message is from Yasmin. She's the owner of one of your biggest pages in Brazil, the Greyson Chance World. She's really
amazing.
Cool. Yasmin, and she's saying that as you're coming to São Paulo, we know that you're coming to São Paulo. She wants to know if you would like to visit another cities like Rio, and she wants to be your tour guide over there. as actually, last week you talked with Annie Gabrielle.
Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned you asked her to introduce São Paulo to you.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little bit jealous, but that's okay. So
Mike, you can show me around too. You can show me around.
Yeah, you have a week, so we have too many things to explore, and you're going to visit a lot of things. So, are you? Do you have any plans to visit another city or just São Paulo?
I do, and we cannot talk about it yet, but I will say I'm not going to catch a plane and fly all the way to Brazil and only visit one city. So don't worry. There might only be one show, but I will still be coming around to Rio and maybe a few other places too. You never know.
Yeah, great. The question now is from Victoria. As you have like so many fans in Brazil that follow you since day one, she wants to know what's your feeling when you know that you inspire so many people.
Um, I just honestly, Mike, I just feel blessed. You know, I really feel, I don't know. I forget about it often, if I'm being honest, because, you know, the honest truth is that I kind of write music in a selfish way. I really write it for me. It's the way I get through life. It's the way that I sort of process what happens to me. And it feels so intimate to just be me and a piano. But it's not until I really get up on stage where I realize the impact of it all. And when I see people relating to this music in the same way that I did or in their own way, I'm just so blessed for it. And, you know, these fans have been with me now for 10 years. They've seen me at my best. They've seen me at my worst. They've endured a lot of shitty music to get through to where we are now. And so I'm just so blessed for them. And I'm going to continue to fight, you know, for them. And I'm going to try to be the best champion that I can be. And so we'll see.
Yeah. So, and the next question is from Henry. He wants to know if you know any other Brazilian artist beside Anitta, of course, because you mentioned a lot of that you know Anitta.
Well, you can't put this in the article because I need to get more verse with Brazilian artists. So I'm gonna skip that question and say I love them.
So and he continues saying that you have 1 year to come ahead. So you have time to dance, to practice some dance, so you can practice and then you can show your moves here in Brazil.
Okay. So there are specific like Brazilian dances?
Yeah, Brazilian funk.
Okay. We gotta tell the fans to start sending me this. I gotta start learning the choreo now.
Now, good, perfect. So, and what would you like to say to your fans that are waiting for you so long, and to close this interview?
I would just say, I mean, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being so patient and for sticking around for 10 years. I am just so overwhelmed by the support in Brazil, and I'm so excited to really introduce myself for the first time. And what I can promise them is that it's going to be a damn good show. And I just can't wait to see them, and it's going to be a really good 2021.
Yeah, nice. We are really waiting for that. So, Greyson, thanks a lot for your time.
Absolutely.
Congratulations again for your music and for the latest song you just released from Love Victor. That is really
amazing. Thank you.
Well.
Thank you.
So we are really waiting for you and really excited. So we cannot say that. Can we move to 2021?
I know. I'm ready, Mike. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, so please,
I'm over this year.
So, Greyson, again, thank you so much. Hope to meet you here.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mike. And we'll see you. You're in Sao Paulo, right?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, we got it. Please keep up to date with Alex, and we'll make sure that we should sit down for an interview, and then we should get you to the show too.
Great. So thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay. Awesome. You too. Thanks, Mike.
Kisses. Bye.
Bye.